Okay, we should be good to go.
Good.
Good evening, folks. As Julie said, we're glad to have you here. We hope that this presents some information that you maybe didn't have access to before and gives you a whole new realm of Cambridge glass to look for when it comes to collecting. So, in the beginning, Simon Farber, a Russian immigrant, established W.S. Farber. Nope, said that backwards. S.W. Farber Company of Brooklyn, New York, in 1897. Two of his employees were his two younger brothers, Louis and Henry. Louis worked in marketing and sales, while Henry was the production manager. The company manufactured nickel-plated and silver-plated hollowware items, along with aluminum, brass, and copper goods. All of their products were sold under the name Farberware. The name Farberware is still well known today as a supplier of cookware and kitchen appliances. However, in 1915, Louis and Henry left their brother's firm and formed Farber Brothers. At the time, New York City had numerous metalcraft companies, and skilled craftsmen were readily available. Stressing customer service, customer satisfaction, and value, in the short span of only 5 years, Farber Brothers had become fierce competition for the other metalcraft companies in the city, including their brother's firm. Chromium plated was developed in the 1920s. Silver fell out of favor at that time, and chrome quickly became the metal of choice when manufacturing Farber Brothers items. In 1932, 3 years after the death of Louis Farber, Farber Brothers invented the patented clip-on, clip-off holder, and that proved very successful for them right up and through World War II. As an aside, the Chromecraft title, often used in conjunction with the Farber Brothers name, was registered in late October of 1930, but was not incorporated into the trademark until the late 1930s. From 1942 to 1945, Farber Brothers was called upon to perform subcontracting work for defense purposes, and try as they might, pushing their non-tarnishing chrome products from 1946 to 1951, they could not regain their market share. You might be wondering how they stayed in business, and the answer is very simple: diversification. In 1935, Louis Farber had purchased Sheffield Silver Company of New Jersey and moved all of its operations from New Jersey to New York City. However, he kept it as a separate company. In the early 1950s, silver regained its popularity over chrome, and the Sheffield items became the leading sellers and carried Farber Brothers through some pretty tough times. The late 1950s and early 1960s saw continuing declining sales of Farber Brother chrome items. They issued a number of solid brass items, which enjoyed a short-lived period of popularity, less than a year. Also, by this time, the number of glass companies still in business was extremely limited, and inserts just weren't available. In 1965, 50 years after its formation, Farber Brothers ceased operations. And so the story ends. But wait, does it really end? What's that I see on the horizon? Oh, could it be a collector? And so the story continues.
In general, Farber Brothers products can be found in two general categories: mounts and holders. Mounts are attached to the glass blank as a base for pitchers, nappies, relish dishes, and small bowls. Interestingly, small glass blanks such as cruets, creams and sugars, and salt and peppers were not set in permanent mounts, but used the clip-on, clip-off holders. The glass blanks were either manufactured in their original configuration or were specified without production feet, so the mounts could be applied by Farber Bros. There are dozens of documents from the Cambridge Company with orders from Farber for modification of production blanks to their specifications. The most common holder to be found are referenced by collectors as tulip. This mounting was the original introduced by Farber Brothers, and the original patent was granted in 1932, and it remained in production to the closing of Farber in 1965. However, Farber never named this design and only referred to this design by their own numbering system. These mounts were available in every finish that Farber produced, including chrome, silver plate, mosaic chrome, mosaic gold, and solid brass. Arguably, the most sought after design by Farber is named Duchess Filigree. This is a very elegant pierced design that to date has only been found in chrome. Almost every blank that Cambridge produced was used in this style holder, including most of the 3400 line as well as Caprice. While many Farber pieces use blanks from the 3400 line, other than some bowls and nappies, the 3500 blanks were often set on small trays, such as relishes and butters, either open or with Farber supplied metal lids. Farber produced three major styles of stems for compotes, cocktails, and wine glasses, all with the clip-on, clip-off holders. Referenced by Farber by the name open stem, most collectors refer to this style as paperclip due to its resemblance. The least common of stem from Farber, it can be found in all of Farber's finishes and can be seen primarily in compotes. However, a variation of this stem was used for various candle holders as well, mostly seen with the tulip holder. The straight stem, referred by Farber by catalog number. This is the most common stem found and usually has the tulip holder. Although the Duchess can be found, it is far less common, but it is an extremely elegant, well-proportioned design. It can be found in every finish Farber produced, as well as on nearly every style of glass blank, including cocktail, wine, compote, and in three distinct heights, from quite short to impressively tall. The Farber Nude. This is the most sought after stem that Farber produced. Cambridge and Farber Brothers had a near 30 years symbiotic relationship in that the 3011 statuesque line and Farber Nude are as identical as can be, given that they were manufactured by two different companies. Only used for compotes, with two different Cambridge inserts in every color Cambridge produced, as well as a handful of etchings, including Chantilly and Rose Point. Now to damage. Some holders will be found with cracks in the holders, usually on the upper part of the holder, and are not uncommon to find due to extended years of usage, variations in the thickness or size of the handmade glass blank, or the chemical processes that cause fatigue in the metal holder over time. Most of these mountings were used with other glass company blanks, which we will cover in the next segment covering colors. Before we go on, does anybody have any questions? All right.
John, as far as the nude, which came first?
The statuesque 3011 line did. By about 3 years, at least from the information that I could find.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
John, you said that the on the nudes there that they only did that on the comport. Did they not do? It seems to me I've seen candlesticks. Did Farber not do those?
They did, but most of the nude candlesticks that I have found, unless somebody knows something different, were all metal. They were metal stem with metal cup. You see a lot of the Farber candle holders with glass inserts on the tall stem, but I myself and the research I did, I could not find an example of a nude stem candlestick. If somebody's got one, I would love to see it. So, all right, on to colors. Farber Brothers produced colored and decorated blanks from Cambridge in nearly every color that Cambridge produced, including amber, amethyst, forest green, royal blue, crystal, carmine, ebony, milk, pistachio, dianthus pink, gold crystal, moonlight, heather bloom, mocha, and late dark emerald. The only colors that have not been found are Windsor blue and crown Tuscan. Most frequently, sets of Farber can be found in a rainbow of 6 colors, similar to the Harlequin sets produced by Cambridge. Throughout their relationship, these sets changed in their colors, depending on the decade they were produced and the Cambridge colors available at that time. So rainbow sets can be found in a staggering variety of various colors. It does not make them wrong as far as a Farber rainbow set goes. It all depends upon the decade in which they were produced. Now on to other companies. This is the most common, manufactured by Lotus, that you will find in Farber. Following the closure of Cambridge Glass, at Farber's direction, the molds used by Cambridge were sent to Morgantown Glass for continued production. Cambridge also gave Morgantown Glass the color batch formulas to replicate the colors used. This is documented in the Cambridge database. I did find documentation that states that. Farber did use blanks from other companies such as Heisey, Fostoria, Viking, Duncan Miller. However, these are easily recognized but not common by the shape and the color of the glass blank. On to marks. Some Farber pieces can be found with the Cambridge Triangle C. Of course, that would be the earlier production. Most commonly found is blanks with the gold and black Cambridge label. However, there were orders from Farber Brothers documented in the database where Farber specified that the glass blanks not be marked with a label. Now on to etchings and cuttings. Decorated crystal blanks in Farber mounts can be found, although not in the quantities comparable to colored blanks. The most common etch used by Farber was Chantilly. Farber purchased more of this etching than any other and was also used by their sister company, Sheffield Silver. Also found is Rose Point, Diane, and Wildflower. These etchings are difficult to find and were mostly used in wines and compotes with Duchess filigree holders. Although they may have been produced, etchings such as Elaine, Portia, Cleo, Rosalie have proven quite elusive. If anybody has any examples, I could not find any. I could not find any reference to them in Farber orders to Cambridge. Please let me know. We move on to cuttings. There are dozens of records between the Farber Company and Cambridge Glass of cuttings used in Farber products. Rock crystal engravings of Laurel Wreath and King Edward are the most common of the rock crystal cuttings used by Farber. The two companies' partnership was so symbiotic that Farber mounts with Cambridge blanks can be found with diverse cuttings not recorded or sold as production items by Cambridge. There is much debate on whether Cambridge or Farber Brothers produced these cuttings, or even that the Farber Company contracted the cutting to another outside firm. Recently discovered in the vast archives of the Cambridge database are orders to Cambridge with specified cuttings named Farber number 1, Farber number 2, and Farber number 3. And if you look at the piece from the special order book, it actually halfway down, it says new cut number 1. Now we can't verify which cutting is which, but we do know that Farber specified their own cuttings from Cambridge when purchasing the blank. Any questions? Nope. Okay. Now, what to collect? Although Farber produced many diverse pieces, most of their products today found will be hospitality or decanter sets, either complete, which is very rare. Trust me, I've tried to find complete sets, or most usually incomplete. These were produced in a staggering variety. You may find a hospitality set with a decanter and a Farber holder, a Farber tray, and unmounted Cambridge sherries and cocktails in cut, etched, or colored glass, or a chrome decanter with mounted wines or cocktails, a Farber tray, or a Farber mounted decanter, mounted wines or cocktails and tray. Variations to these sets include mounted, plain metal or unmounted glass ice pails, handled trays, or even solid metal stemware. Frequently found are handled trays with salt and pepper, oil and vinegar cruets, or all 4 on the same tray. Console sets are far less common, and I could not find any references to, I could find them in the catalog, but no actual pictures of console sets, some using all metal candle holders with mounted glass console bowls, or metal bowls with glass insert candle holders. Although not technically a set, Farber also produced a large amount of relish, covered casserole, and butter dishes with metal bases and glass inserts in square, round, and oval glass, some with either glass or metal lids. Rarest of all, the tantalus decanter sets are usually in groups of 3, usually in different colors, with a metal holder and metal enclosure that keeps the bottle secure. All righty, there's your introduction to Farber Brothers.
Well,
Anybody have any questions?
no, but thank you so much. But I have also, I collect Chantilly. So it's kind of interesting to me. I noticed you didn't show many silver pieces from
No,
the.
because the silver pieces were primarily made by.
Oop.
Oh.
Oh, he froze. That's not good. Okay, hopefully he'll come back on. Hi, Linda.
Hey, I've got a question when he's online.
All right, Scott, you're gonna have to answer questions. Sorry, buddy. You're up, bud.
I'll try.
Okay, so a lot of your illustrations and even on the cover of the catalog, I see Farber with the tulip insets, but on the Duchess tray. Is that actually common? I mean, I would have thought that the one that would have each had their own type of tray, or that they'd be a little more matchy.
No, quite often there was a limited number of trays, and the same tray was used for, 4 or 5 or 6 different sets.
Okay. So it's not a marriage if you come across that. That's,
No,
I guess.
no, it's not.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
Scott, I've seen some of these little trays that are only about yay big around. Were
Mhm.
and they're Farber, they're marked. Were those used for, I've not seen a lot, but were they used for sugar and creamers or were they used for cordials? What were those used for primarily?
Now you're talking round,
No, they're oblong
oblong.
actually. Yes.
Right? The oblong were usually used for like the vinegar and oil.
Okay.
But again, they did so much mixing and matching. It depends on what you find and where you find it, basically.
Okay.
As to what they did. The 2 books that we talked about and that John showed, this is what we call the Far Bible. And
Mhm.
it is just an absolutely wonderful reference book, full of pictures. I mean, the lady who did this, that I can't pronounce her name, it's Julie Shfraza or something along that line, really did a super job. And this book is readily available.
Mhm.
And the other book, and I'll show you this one if I can. These are cream and sugars. And again, they're all
You
metal.
have to close that.
They're all chrome craft, except if you looked at the one on
Go
the
up on
top
that
here,
and close it. It
you
should
know,
allow
that
you to.
is Cambridge with the tulip insert. But if you start looking at the trays there, you see the same tray used for, there's basically 6 different sets right there. And that's in the Chromecraft catalog.
Is that catalog still available?
Yes, but hard to find.
It's hard to find.
Hard to
Okay.
find.
Once in
There's
a while, you see them on eBay.
Yes.
Yeah, this book you can find on eBay relatively easy. And if not, contact me. I still have 6 of them. This, however, I think I've only ever had 2.
Ooh,
And I'm sorry for the glare.
okay. So do we have other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Christine.
So, as far as you know, did they always mark their pieces, or were there pieces that were not marked?
You mean the holders themselves?
So, like if I look at the bottom of this piece, I see the Farberware mark on
Yes.
the bottom of it. But I have one piece that is very similar to a lot of my other pieces, but there's no mark on it. But it is one that would be hard to mark. So, just curious. I've been curious about who made it, to be honest.
Well, what is it, Christine?
It's a bell. It's a bell.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably American chromium. If you look in the rivet in the bottom of it,
Yeah.
if it's Farber, it would have lettering around that rivet in the bottom.
Okay. Yep. There's no mark at all.
Okay. So that's was probably made by American chromium.
Oh, good to know. Thank you.
And that's a Morgantown blank, by the way.
Oh, is it? I
Yes.
just think it was really pretty, and I just had to have it because I love blue anyways.
John does too, by the way. If you notice what's behind him.
And by the way, I'd be interested in a book, Scott.
Okay. I'll bring a couple of them to the
Thanks.
auction.
Thank
Put
you.
my name on one, Scott,
Oh,
if you would. So there.
Okay.
There you go. We could share though, Lyle.
You think?
In the
Does
cabinet.
Tim still know where the stones are in the lake?
Oh, I'm sure he can find it.
Okay.
I have this little blue salt and pepper set, and it's marked, but I have an equally unusual but smaller size in a green, and the shaping is the same. This metal is the same, but either they ran out of room on the bottom for a label or it's not marked. I imagine they're both copies. I don't know. That's an unusual ball size and an unusual Farber decor type size also. I'm thinking it's, you know, a repo of some kind.
Absolutely, Lyle. That is
Yeah.
not Farber Brothers.
Yeah,
If you check the absolute shape of the cutout, you'll
right.
see that the tiny one is different. That was a knockoff.
Wow.
Yep.
Just the
sure
points
who
on
made
the
the
tulip,
insert.
the points on the tulip,
Yep.
perhaps?
Right. It's
Yes.
just it's very
Ah.
close,
Yeah.
but
Wow.
yeah, the Farber tulip is very, very distinct.
So,
Neat.
yeah. So I have a question, going back to when you talked about they were either mounts or they were clips, holders. Oftentimes we see something that says it has a Marie foot. Is that alluding to a mount?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, if you give me just 1 second. Everybody here probably knows what a 1321 decanter looks like, right? And
Yes.
this one is in Duchess filigree. This is the 1321 blank without the foot. This is what it would have looked like. This was finished with this little ball on the bottom of it. And they would have put Cambridge, if they were selling the 1321 decanter, they would have put the foot on the bottom of it. But Farber specified that this one didn't have one, so it would fit in the holder, just like that. And by the way, just in case you were wondering, they hold on to, even when they're filled with liquid, even though it's friction, they will stay together.
So that little ball is referred to as the Marie foot.
I believe so. Yes. The orders that I saw in through the Cambridge documents, it would say no foot, M foot, or it would say no foot or M foot, and I'm assuming that would mean Marie foot. If anybody else has any better information, please correct me. But that's what I believe it was. The interesting thing that I found when I was doing all this research is that in Farber's original patent to the U.S. Patent Office, they used a Cambridge 3400 ball jug for their patent. Okay, so they relied on having a supply of glass from Cambridge to even apply for their patent. They took Cambridge's actual product and made this holder to fit that product and applied for the patent for it. So I believe, and I believe Scott believes with me, that Farber and Cambridge had a symbiotic relationship that nobody really understands, because they Farber bought thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of blanks from Cambridge. There is actually documentation of 3,000 of this blank and 5,000 of that blank, 4,000 of this blank.
I just wanted to show an example of something that's not Farber. And I was sad when I found out it was not, because I thought that I had found odd green. And I got real excited about it. And it, you know, it clips out and everything. But if you look at, see, it looks like odd green. And I was like, woo, I found it, odd green. None of the stuff says odd green, but it's not. The pattern on here looks like a flower. Can you see that? The little flower here in the middle. This is American chromium. And there's like a ridges here in the stem, and there's no mark on the bottom. So if you see this, it's referred to as daffodil, I think.
I think so, yeah.
I think it's referred to by the flower here in the middle, maybe tulip. maybe tulip.
Mm.
I don't remember. But anyway, this is not Cambridge, even though I thought I had found something really cool. I did not.
Yeah, and Morgantown made that blank as well.
And you will find those all over eBay being called Cambridge.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And I mean, that's the biggest myth out there, honestly, relative to Farber Brothers. Those stems and those blanks
Yeah.
that fill them, that's the biggest mistake. Oh, now I'm froze up.
Well, it is a very, very quick story. When Vicki and I started collecting Cambridge, we really wanted some nude stems. And when we started collecting them several years ago, we quite honestly, with two small children, couldn't afford to buy one. So I came across the royal blue compote in Farber Brothers, and that was the first piece of Farber Brothers that I purchased. And when I unpacked it, I showed it to Vicki, and I said, "Well, this is the only statuesque that we'll ever be able to afford." And that was our very first piece, is we actually bought a nude stem piece of Farber Brothers. So,
Speaking of green, I have a handful of Farber Brothers pieces that are marked Farber Brothers underneath, and they all seem to be, to my eye, light emerald, but
and they very possibly could be.
they do not fluoresce under blacklight, and all of my light emerald in Cambridge fluoresces under blacklight, and
Okay.
I was confused about that.
It may be that was after the initial closure, and Morgantown produced it, because all of the molds were transferred from Cambridge to Morgantown, West Virginia, for Morgantown to produce. And I don't know if they still had access to uranium oxide in the mid 50s or not. I can't say for certain, but that would be my guess.
I suspected that might be the case.
Also, I recently discovered it, and I haven't found any collaboration in the research I've been doing, but some of the molds that that Farber owned, that Cambridge had possession of, also got sent to Viking Glass for them to produce blanks for Farber. And that was a new discovery, but I've only found one reference to it. I don't like to state it as fact until I have more than one source stating it. So that's why I didn't bring it up. But that's kind of an interesting aside. The thing that floored me was the fact that Cambridge would give up their color batch formulas to another glass company, whether they were staying in business or not, but they did. And it was documented in no uncertain terms, actually on a letter that was addressed to the president of Morgantown Glass from Mary Mitchell. So stating that what they were sending over, and Morgantown came and picked everything up, and they were that was actually written in a letter by Mary Mitchell. So
Interesting.
if anybody doesn't know who Mary Mitchell was, she was the last president of the Cambridge Glass Company.
So going back, I have another question, returning back to some things and statements that Scott made. He talked about like the gold or the brassy looking colors. What percentage of the Farber that is out there is in like this particular gold mosaic? And was there a preference for certain colors of glass to go into the gold over the more chrome colored? Like we know we find milk in gold.
Right.
We find some carmine in gold. But you don't really see any of the what I would call pastel-y colors in gold too frequently or at all. I'm just wondering if there was, a lean toward the more vibrant colors. Like I've never seen really green in gold either, the emerald. I only see really cobalt, carmine, milk. Those are probably and certainly I've never seen Chantilly in gold either.
Right. Yeah, well, it is technically, according to the Farr Bible and the Farber catalog that exists, technically everything was available in every finish. I don't think that, well, honest to God, Julie, like light emerald and mosaic gold would not look very good together.
I know.
So I mean, we have to assume that they would say, oh, that doesn't look good, and they probably wouldn't offer it. But as far as documentation on it, I really don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I will state, if I don't know something, I don't know. And I really don't know. I've also seen ebony in polished brass and mosaic gold, which is exquisite looking. It truly is. The black and the mosaic gold is very, very pretty together. And not being a fan of milk glass, the milk in polished brass is very attractive as well. But it was a very, very short production time for that.
And Julie?
Yes.
I mean, a little bit, I knew there was some specifics on the mosaic gold. I'm just looking at Julie's book here, and it talks about it was introduced in 32, discontinued prior to 1940, but it only had popularity early on, the first year or two after being introduced. So the mosaic gold would have been, I mean, mostly items from 32 to 34. Again, that's not an absolute. And the reason is because it's snap in and snap out, people have been known to snap out their red insert, you know, and throw it in a nude stem because they just didn't like the tulip stem. And if it's a good fit, you can't tell the difference.
Right.
So there's been some things that I hate to use the word manufactured, but it's almost like quote manufactured. And that being said, I will a word of warning, as you're out looking at this stuff or being more aware of it, you pick something up and you see, you know, the Farber Brothers logo on the bottom or the numbering around the rivet on the stem. Look at the insert very closely, because I have found all sorts of different items being stuffed in the top of these clip-on, clip-off frames that don't belong there.
Right.
I mean, you'll see votives, you know, you'll see I hate to say it, a coffee cup with a handle broken off. Just all sorts of things.
Sure.
It's a buyer beware kind of thing. I mean,
yes. Okay. Are there any other questions that we have before we move to our show and tell portion?
Yeah, I do have a question. And it may be that I'm admitting that we have a terrible mistake in our database at the Museum of American Glass in West Virginia. Was Cambridge the only company that made inserts for Farber Brothers?
No, but they were the largest supplier.
Okay, so if we have what we believe to be in New Martinsville, it could truly be New Martinsville.
Yeah, it could
okay.
truly be New Martinsville. It could be Duncan Miller. It could be Morgantown. Farber also produced a large line with China inserts in it.
Yes.
Okay, that relieves me because I was relatively certain I had the identification of the insert correct on the New Martinsville.
If you're talking about the green ones, yes,
you
you
had
do,
me
Tom.
scared for a while there.
No, you're good. No, you're good.
Yeah, there's thermos made inserts. As John said, New Martinsville, Viking. Yeah, it's Lennox.
And we have a couple of relish trays or insert trays that we bought that were factory samples from the Indiana Glass Company. So apparently they were also used.
Sure.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Sigh of relief down there from the American Glass Factory.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I have made mistakes before.
Are there any other questions?
Great job, guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
excellent.
Well, thanks.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
Very informative.
So we will move on to the show and tell portion. So we will have Mary and Jeff with Christine on deck, please.
Okay, we just grabbed a couple things, and this you see in the royal blue before. That's the green caprice and the filigree holder, kind of a reflection there. And the only other piece that pulled out was the
Amethyst
the
picture.
Amethyst 2400 picture with the base on it. That's it.
Well, thank you. Yes,
Julie,
there was, yes.
I have a question for the experts on the caprice piece that Mary just showed. Is that piece was only made as an insert for Farber? Is that correct?
I believe so. That particular one, I think that piece in the Caprice line has its own mold number, and most of the Farber molds are numbered in the 600s, like 688, 627, 645. And what I could find was, I believe that particular one, even though it looks exactly like Caprice, it was made to fit that hole.
Mm-hmm.
And there again, I mean, this is ongoing research, so I could be wrong. If somebody has different information, please let me know.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we'll move to Christine with Jeff on deck. Mr. Eggers on deck, please.
Okay, I don't collect a lot of smoker items, but I just think this is kind of a neat piece. So has the lid to it, and of course the Farber with the glass insert, of course, to it. I just think it's kind of a neat piece. And then of course a bitters bottle. So I like the bitters bottles. That's a very cool one. Does have the Farber mark. The next one needs a friend if anyone ever finds a friend for me. So
We have two of those.
yeah.
And you needed a second also, so we found the second.
Yeah, so you see it's clear crystal and then it has the little blue handle. I just thought it was a really neat one. This was given to me actually, but it would be neat to have the one. Now this one I do not know, maybe you can help me, whether this is a Cambridge insert. This is definitely Farber. It is marked on the bottom as being Farber. Has a little spoon to it, kind of a neat little piece, and that's what the insert looks like. So I do not know if this is Cambridge. It is, of course, not marked, but I just think it's a really neat little piece.
Kind of fun.
Like using it. So that's very neat. That's what I have.
That is a Cambridge 3500 piece.
It is? Okay. Good to know. Thank you. Appreciate that. I wasn't sure on that one. Thank you.
I had to go to the book.
Yeah.
Julie, you're on mute.
There we go. Next, we're going to move over to Jeff and we'll put Philip on deck, please.
Everybody, good show tonight. Very interesting.
Well, thanks.
Very interesting. This is, where's my camera? Do I have one? Oh, there we go. This is my amethyst, throw anything in you want it bowl.
Mhm.
I don't know. And one of these here stems I got, which is a very good M&M holder.
Yes.
And then my one and only nude stem with amethyst insert, which is kind of cool. I like it.
Everything's on that.
And last but not least, I have that same book. And there's so much information in here. You guys gotta get one.
Yep.
This is an awesome info. There's everything you need to know about Farberware in here. Very cool. And that's it for me. Thank you very much.
We often find that our bowls are the best catch-alls, especially those with little feet on them. I have my dad really loves Farber, and he probably has, I don't know, 10 of those bowls laying around because they just seem to have everything pop into them. So perfect. All right, next we'll move over to Phil, and then we will put Gwinnell on deck, please.
All right, hey guys, gals. I never really owned any of this Farber Brothers before. My oldest piece is a week old, and I bought it because it was cheap. It's already been shown once already, and this is the picture. That's the first piece I ever owned. And the second piece I ever owned, I went back and bought it from the same lady, is the Cruet set
Yeah,
in
that's
amber.
nice. Mm-hmm.
And thank you for your display earlier, because I took a picture of that on my phone that shows these in that book that you guys were showing.
Mm-hmm.
And because I never found them with the ball, the ball thing on there. I've always seen them with the keyhole, or kind of the I don't know, triangular looking top. I never saw them with the ball until the picture that you showed us. So yeah, that was my second piece I ever bought. So yay for me.
Yeah, the stoppers are unique. I think you almost always find, if I'm not mistaken, the ball stopper in almost all of the Farber sets. I think there might be a few, like in the Duchess, when you have the larger decanters, they have a little bit different stopper, but it seems like the ball stopper seems to be the predominant one. Would you say that's true, Scott or John?
Yes. Yes. Except for the large decanters, they use the same.
Spiky.
They use the same one that production 1321 used.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, but predominantly they are all, and you will also find them where they have silver added to the, I don't know, the chevron or whatever you want to call it, that's on top of the 3400 ball stopper. I have one of each, and I tried to polish it, and because I thought it was silver, and it's not. It's black enamel. So
interesting. Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Very interesting. Next, we'll move over to Gwinnell, and we will put Barbara on deck, please.
Great program and excellent book reference. I love it. Got the tray with the crystal relish, the divided relish. And I've got the same amber cruet, so I won't show that. But the milk, cream and sugar with either the brass or the gold. I'm not sure.
That's the brass.
That's what I thought. And then the caprice, the emerald is going to be definitely an order for specifically for Farber, because Cambridge should not sell the green caprice. But they also did the amethyst only for the for Farber again. So but the colors other than the crystal and the moonlight blue basically were done only for Farber.
Oh, excellent. Well, those, as we had anticipated, we would see Caprice from your line.
Oh,
thank
yeah.
you. Thank you for sharing your pieces with us, Gwinnell. It's always interesting to me what piece is going to pop up in your collection. So next we're going to move on to Barbara, and we will put Lyle, do you have anything else to show us? I'm going to put you on deck, but I think you showed us two things, but
I got one interesting piece.
okay, we'll come back to you. We're putting you on deck, all
Sure.
right? So
Not
next,
a problem.
Barbara, and then Lyle, please.
Well, I have one because I'm in Florida, and all my pieces, which I was not going to bring to Florida, are in New York. Very, very dangerous. And in looking at what you're saying, I realize I have a salt and pepper shaker, in the round, and I think one is not real because it doesn't stay in the silver. It doesn't stay in the chrome. One does, and the other one does not. But the one I have here, and I also had the clear at home also, but I have this piece that was in the book and what you showed in the picture. What, and this I think is Cambridge because of this part over here. Can you tell me what this number is or what it's called?
That's the divided relish.
That I know, but I have a lot of things with this topping.
Gadroon edge.
Gadroon. Okay, thank you very much.
And those bowls were made in 2-part, 3-part, and 4-part.
This is 2.
And each one gets a little bigger.
This is 2. This one I had in Florida.
Yes, I think it's always interesting if you hold that up, you see the little detailing on the chrome portion of it or the silver. It's also made in silver, both. And it always has that little detail, which I think goes very, very well with the gadroon pattern.
Yeah,
it just
it does
kind of
well.
emulates it in a lot
Has
of
the same
ways.
design right here to go along with it.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And like I said, I've seen that. I have several pieces in Chantilly and sterling. So it did come that way too. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
I'm glad you could join us from Florida. So next we'll go back to Lyle and we will put David on deck, please.
But what I have now that I've shown you 90% of the vast collection of Farber. What's there? 2 pieces that are real, 1 phony. I may have another phony here. This is kind of an interesting piece. It's a perfume, so it's got the dauber stopper. It's kind of locked in place right now. It's etched in wildflower and it has this lovely brass gilded, maybe it's unidentified anywhere, so I don't know for sure. But it's certainly lacy and filigree and looks pretty nice under the lights. And you're all wondering why I have something that doesn't have a naked lady on it. Well, I live with one, so that's how that works out. That's it. That's all I got.
Oh, Scott, would you call that more of an ormolu over what you would call a holder?
I wouldn't know that word, but Kathy just called it that.
Is it? Well, I prefer Kathy's dissertation on it there. But there's nothing on it, but it is pebble finished. And it's definitely a Cambridge piece. And it sits in there quite nice. So I think it started life together. But I didn't know about this. So it could be something else entirely.
Yeah, it was probably one of your better department stores that bought some of those and then sent them out to be further decorated.
Okay.
Before they put them on their sales floor.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
it's
Vicky
still pretty.
Ollenhoff may know more about that.
I'll ask her when I see her at auction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. And I think the main difference in that, Scott, would that be that the ormolu, it just kind of fits in, but it doesn't snap in, correct?
Right, right.
Okay. Yes, I think we find a lot of the ormolus on apple blossom and gold and a little more filigree, those kind of things. I think we saw some a couple Zoom and tells ago when they were on the flasks and so forth.
So were they assisted with like a cement or something to hold them in place? I mean, that's obviously picked up at some point in time, and you would hate to have it go, fall off. But
I don't know. Do anybody have an answer for that on the ormolus?
Well,
it does grip.
I was just going to say, and particularly on the piece that you're holding there, Lyle, it's I actually have an Elaine one, but it's not a snap-in one. They actually soldered the ormolu all around the neck and everything. So,
oh my, you got up to the shallow part then.
Correct, right.
Oh
and
boy.
I've seen other ones that were done that way, but I've seen you see them all kinds of different ways. So there was a
All right.
number of different companies that did that ormolu thing, and so
Well, that's fun. Thank you.
yeah.
Okay. Next we'll move, thank you again. Next we'll move on to David and we'll put Jack on deck, please.
I just have one item to share this evening. It is a nude comport. But what I thought was unique, and John mentioned this earlier in the presentation. What is the name for when it's kind of marbled? It could be gold or
Mosaic.
silver.
Gold mosaic.
So the comport, the holder at the top is mosaic, the foot is mosaic, but the nude herself is smooth. It does not have the mosaic on it. And I'm not sure if I had seen that before. So when I was out a while back, I saw that. So that's got to be at least a little bit interesting. So that's what I picked that up, and now it's in my collection. So that's all I got, Julie.
Never seen that on a nude before, David. Thank you.
Okay. Well,
pretty cool.
You might see it in about 5 months.
Hey, David, is that gold crystal or amber?
That is amber on the top, and it does still possess the original paper label. No triangle C, just says handmade, made in USA.
Interesting. Yeah, you don't see the like you said, the mosaics, you see them in the base and you see them in the holder, but the statuesque portion is not mosaic.
Yeah, that'd be just unnatural.
Only you, Lyle. Only
Thank
you. Okay.
Oh, dear.
Next we're moving over to Jack and we're gonna put Mike on deck.
Okay, thanks, Julie. Before I think of a thing, I wanted to show us, Elaine went and when she heard we were talking about this, went and dug this out. So Lyle, so here is the one that we have, and you can see that they've done the ormolu all around the neck and side.
Man.
There's
Yeah.
no way to to get
Coming
that
off.
out of there at all. So
It's
that again, but that's different. So we just have a couple of things in Farber, but we have bitters bottles, and Christine, I think, showed a royal blue one. I'm going to show three more. This is amber and amethyst, and forest green is here. And this is the 3400 165. They never sold this bitters bottle separately without the Farber thing that I'm aware of. I don't know if this ever comes in Carmen. I've never seen it. I don't know if John or Scott or if anybody, do you know if they did this in Carmen for Farber?
They probably did, but I saw one in Heather Bloom, but I've never actually seen one in Carmen. But technically, it was part of one of those sets, one of those cocktail sets where you would have a shaker and a bitters bottle and stemware, and conceivably that according to their catalogs, it could have come in Carmen, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it did. I mean, I've never seen one. So
But you're saying
there's a
seen
lot
a
of
Heather Bloom one?
Oh yes, I
Oh,
saw it
my.
on eBay about 3 years ago.
Why didn't you not buy that for me?
Two reasons: Harrison and Thad.
Okay. And the last
14
thing,
and 10. That's why.
the last thing I have is the Tally-Ho Ice Bucket in Farber. Now, this is etched Elaine.
Yep.
And this could be a marriage, but it might not. I actually got this from, we got this years ago, 20 years ago probably. And at the time, Alex Wolk and Bill Duff were really discussing whether they did Elaine in Farber. There's no documentation on this, but they kind of thought that it was real, was not a marriage. They had seen other ones like in Elaine Ice Buckets before. So, but who knows? Since there's no documentation on it, we don't really, I guess we don't really know. So, but anyway, so we've got it in the collection. It's pretty cool.
Cute.
Nice piece.
It's
But I
beautiful.
did notice there is no mark on this. So, but I know it's the Farber 5407 holder, but it's just not marked unless it's somewhere where I can't see it.
It could be on the inside.
I've looked, I don't see it anywhere in the inside. I can't pull this thing out. It's stuck in there pretty well, but you can see through it. And I don't see any mark anywhere on the inside. Maybe it's down at the bottom on the rim. So anyway, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jack. Very interesting. Beautiful piece. Ice bucket. Very nice. Next, we'll go over to Mike. And is there anyone else that has glass to show so I can?
I have one more thing to show when everybody's done.
Okay, very good.
And I have one.
Okay. And then when you're all done, I've got a picture from Norm. So Mike, we'll take it to you, please, and we'll put John on deck.
Thank you, Julie. Hey, John and Scott, you guys did a great job. I just wanted to tell you that. I know when you're doing a presentation like that, I can't imagine how many hours went into it, but I'm sure it was a lot. So I just wanted to tell you I appreciated it.
Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. And Scott, I always like to mess with Scott a little bit. So I brought a piece for him to look at, and I know it doesn't say Farber Brothers on it, but I wanted him to look at it to see if he can guess which glass house they emulated with this thing. And this is my piece. So Scott, who do you think they were copying when they made this?
They might have been copying Cambridge.
That was my guess. You know, it's got a metal stopper to it. There's a band around it, and on the bottom it just says chromium plated.
Chromium plated.
So I figure you should know what this is, Scott.
It's gorgeous.
It is. It's beautiful.
I've never seen anything like it.
Well, there's 6 of these little cups that go with it.
Wow.
I don't know.
Did I really stump the stars?
Yes.
Yeah.
John?
It's all metal, Mike?
Yeah, the whole thing is metal, including the stopper.
Wow.
And
I don't know. How much you want for it?
Well,
cut to the chase.
The funny thing is, I don't really collect it, but when I saw it, and I've had it probably 20 years, and I just saw it, and I like round Cambridge pieces, the 3400 line, and I saw it, and I said, you know, that certainly looks like they copied Cambridge.
Oh, yeah.
Now, it doesn't have any darts or anything, and it's got this one band around it, but I thought I would share that with you, Scott. And
the handle and the stopper, and I mean,
yeah,
it couldn't be much more Cambridge-like if it tried.
Well, yeah, that was my guess too, that somebody copied Cambridge, but and it's heavy. I mean, I think it was made pretty well, and it just says chromium plated on the bottom.
Plated.
No, it's beautiful.
Uh-oh. Everyone's going to be looking now. So you've got them on a hunt now, Mike.
Chromium plated was developed in the 1920s.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So,
very interesting.
So did I adequately mess with you, Scott?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Okay. Well, we know that there will be research to follow. Thank you, Mike,
You're
as
welcome.
always. We're going to return to John, and then we'll put Scott on deck.
Okay. This is if you can see it, where am I?
Hold it back a little bit. Hold it back.
Okay.
It's easier to see. Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
This is a 7966 Sherry with a royal blue foot that came with my Duchess Filigree decanter. And as you can see, it's cut. It is not a cutting that is in any of the cuttings listed by Cambridge whatsoever. It fits with the Duchess filigree wonderfully, but in going through the special order book, I found several listings for 7966 sherries cut Farber number 2. And through the process of elimination, I think this is Farber number 2. I don't know for certain. If anybody has, I need one more of these. If anybody has one of these, I said, send me a carrier pigeon, with the price that you want, because I would love to complete this set. But this actually came in the Farber set that I bought with the Duchess tray, the Duchess mounted 1321 decanter, and 7966 sherries. And it is shown in the Farber Brothers 1940 catalog. So I just wanted to show that to you, but I believe through the process of elimination that this is Farber cut number 2. So just wanted to share that.
Anybody want to chime in on that one? Jack or David or Les? Any ideas?
No, we've seen that before and speculated that the same thing, that it was not obviously a Cambridge cutting or production cutting. It didn't look like something that they did. I think that it may be something that they had done for them on it. So.
Okay. All right. Scott, we'll put you back in the spotlight.
Okay, well, Mike opened the floodgates here, so what I have is not Cambridge, it's not glass, but I just wanted to show this because every now and then, as a collector, you run across something that you just don't believe you're really seeing. But I found the Chromecraft Farber Brothers cocktail shaker with the original tag still on it.
Very nice.
And the great thing about the chrome is it washes up with soap and water.
Yes.
The silver stuff, you still have to polish. The chrome,
no.
Soap and water.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Yes, I do. I really enjoy seeing the Chromecraft. I did have one other question coming back to some of those trays, and we did see someone with one earlier with the Duchess. And it was a small, we've seen this tray, it's about this long, and it is in the Martha design. And a lot of times we see it where it's divided and we put those teeny tiny little cordials on it. The one I think you showed in the presentation was a tray, and of course it has the Duchess kind of coming up. But I noticed that it always is a plain holder rather than one that's etched. Do they come in etched as well? It's like a 2-part or not, or just a straight Gradroon tray.
Are you talking about etching on the metal tray itself?
No, I'm talking about etching on the glass.
On the 2-part rectangular tray.
Yes. Or on just I've seen it with just a rectangular tray with no dividing.
Okay, yeah. I have never seen those with any etching on them.
Okay.
I've seen them with gray cuttings on them.
Okay.
But I don't think I've ever seen one of that particular one with an etching on it.
Okay. I just was curious because, we often see the trays out there and then we'll see little cordials on them. And then a small decanter, that's a 3400, like the really teeny tiny ones that are only about this tall that were, with the little minuscule little cordials. I just was wondering if we ever saw any etched that went into any of these Farber trays. But you've answered that for me, so I appreciate that. So I have one picture to share. Norm Woodson had sent it over to David. And I think everybody can see this now, correct?
Yep.
Oh.
Yes, here is the gold mosaic, and we see, again, as we've said before, looks like the nude is not mosaic, but again, Carmen. Beautiful. I really like the Carmen. But a beautiful piece that Norm was able to share with us. And as you said before, I think some of the colors are just so striking in the gold mosaic.
Windsor blue with a different top on
it.
Okay.
No fair looking in the background.
No fair looking at other than Farber, Lyle. You'll have to contact Norm. But anyway, a beautiful piece here. So thanks to Norm for sharing with us. Sorry, Lyle. But beautiful piece. And unfortunately, I did not have time to take some photographs this weekend, but I would have liked to. Unfortunately, we didn't see many. We saw a couple of the multiple decanters with, as you said, the lock and key and so forth. And I find those always very interesting. I've seen them in the melon shape. I've seen them in several shapes. Scott, how many sets of those multiple decanters in the different colors? We saw the shape that you showed. What are the other shapes that some of those decanters came in?
I've seen, boy, I've seen the square bottles. I can't think of the numbers right offhand.
Oh, numbers aren't important. Shapes. Just tell us the shape.
The square, taller bottles. I've seen them in the, is it Jefferson? The Jefferson, the round that's kind of columnar.
Okay.
The pinball, as John showed. Boy.
I've seen melon once or twice.
Melon, yeah.
Yeah, melon.
Like the two of them hooked together.
Yeah,
yes, yes.
Normally in the melon ones, there are two of them together. So, and also the square, I don't know what they're called either. I can't remember right offhand. The actual glass decanters with the big ball on them. Well, there's two of them in the auction listing.
Are you thinking of Tantalus?
Yeah, Tantalus sets.
Yeah, Tantalus sets, but I've seen them with the square bottles as well. So
okay, I was just kind of curious because we do see the sets, and I think the museum has a couple of sets on display as well. So now we're all going to be on the hunt, or we're all going to go pick up our book and look at what else was there. But just, is there anyone else that has any other pieces? Okay, hearing none, I think we all should give you both a huge round of applause. As Mike had said, great job on this and lots of information. We don't often hear much about, Farber, but it's always nice to learn more about, where Cambridge, how they work synergistically with other companies, who they worked with, how long they worked with them. And then obviously, as you guys put it, once Cambridge became defunct, there was still a market for these items and they had to go elsewhere. And Cambridge obviously sold those formulations or gave those formulations to other companies so that their legacy could continue as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to David.
Thank you, Julie, and thank you to John and Vicki. Excuse me. And Scott and Catherine. Thank you so much, because I know these guys probably worked in tandem with their wives and to help out with that. Next week or next month in March, it's March 11th. It's going to be Jack Thompson's on 2 light candlesticks. So if you have we start out the first program Jack did, I think it was December. He did 1 light candlestick. So this is just the natural progression to 2 light candlesticks. Cambridge made a ton. I mean, literally a ton of 2 light candlesticks. So look through your cases and get ready on March 11th for that.
David, if I could just add a quick note on that. So on that, feel free to show anything that's too light. So it could be an Epern. So you could have an arm and vase in there as long as it's just a 2 light. thing. It could be hurricanes. There are 2 light hurricanes. It could be an Epernet. Just no Bobaches. That's the only rule. So anything with 2 lights and no Bobaches, you got to
No
take.
Bobaches. Okay.
No Bobaches. That's going to be a later program. But
Thank you.
Okay.
Attention, Lyle.
Thank you for
Okay.
clarifying for us tonight. Much appreciated. And again, thank you to everyone who shared glass this evening. It's always interesting to see what people have. And I know I'm going to have to listen to the recorded program to get all these details down for the write-up in the crystal ball, because a lot of things that were stated this evening I was not aware of. So thank you for all the research you did.
Everyone have a wonderful evening. I look forward to seeing you next month, and stay safe, stay warm, and go collect more Cambridge.